On this week's episode of the B Team, we're joined by comedian Neel Kolhatkar. We talk about if Parramatta are the real deal, player scandals, what changes would you make to State of Origin 2?
And whether we would take that sweet Saudi oil money. Most of us would.
I would.
Yeah, me too.
Here we go, guys. Take a look at this lineup here. We got the regular B team, and then we got a very special Resi joining us today, Neel Kolhatkar, one of the GOATs of Australian comedy.
Oh, man.
Thanks for jumping on, brother.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Mate, it's going to be a big episode because for those that don't know, Neel's a big Dragons fan.
He's a big Dragons fan. Well,
Huge.
he's been big in the NRL videos for a
Yeah.
long time. He's one of the OGs, but big Dragons fan. Not much to cheer about, though, this season.
No, not much to cheer about for a couple of seasons, actually. Very hot and cold, very kind of bipolar, supporting the Dragons. But look, we're still 6 and 7, so
Hey,
I
better than
still
us
got a
dogs.
bit of hope that we could make the 8, but I can't see us winning the comp until until some of those younger players get better or a big roster overhaul. So it's tough, but I'm
I was
hanging in there.
spewing because I had the Dragons in my tip. I don't know why. I was like, the Cowboys, a couple days
Coming
after
off the back of Origin, yeah,
they're
yeah.
due for a loss, and you know that game. You know when you just know straight away, like first 5 seconds, you're going to lose? I was like, they've lost. Because how many
Yeah.
back-to-back sets? Just 6 again, 6 again, 6 again, 6 again. But Cowboys, man, they're legit.
Yeah, and Neel, I've worked with Neel here and there in the past.
Two of the
Comedian, podcaster. I mean, what can he do? Stand up. But, mate, his sporting knowledge he's up there with the best. He's been in and around. He's working with KO. He's been at the boxing. He's
Footy
been...
your favourite sport, or is it?
Probably NRL, yeah, big fan. Always been a big fan. I did grow up in Cogra, that's hence
Cogra boy.
the
Cog
Cog
dog.
Dog.
Yeah.
So always been a Dragons fan, and never played it. I was pretty used. I played one season of Oztag. I was absolutely horrendous.
Mixed
And,
or men's?
Just boys.
Okay,
This
boys.
was back
Yeah.
in
Oh.
what was it, under 12s or something.
Yeah, because there's a big controversy in Oztag. No one likes to bring this up.
Go.
But if you play in a mixed team,
Yep.
the females,
They
if
get
they
2
score a
points.
try, they get 2 points.
I have a rule. I never...
But the males is 1 point.
I
now,
never
are we
play-
going for equality or what are we
No,
doing?
well,
here?
I never play mixed Oztag because I'll tell you a story. Once I was playing Oztag, and you'd always get it sometimes where we played. There'd always be 1 or 2 chicks that were really, really good. Anyway, so we're playing this team. They had one girl who, to be fair, was an absolute weapon. And we're playing them. She passes out to her. She's on the wing. Absolutely steps my mate silly. Breaks his
Oh,
ankles. Ever since then, I'm like, I'm never playing mixed. Because if that happened to me, I would just
It'd
have
be
to hook
fairly
myself.
embarrassing, but I'm going to start championing for equality in Oztag. Equal points.
Equal points.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Either
Only.
give them 2 points each or
Yeah.
or nothing. Neil, we've got a couple fan questions. One of them is for you.
Okay.
This one is from Sammy J. She wants to know, Neil, I love your work. What have you been up to recently? What's been cooking for Neil?
I've been doing a lot of live shows, so I'm working on a show that we're touring all over the place called Comedy Untamed. So I don't know if you guys know Daniel and Max.
Dan Max,
I've been
yeah.
working with them. We've been doing guest spots and improv, and it's currently touring up and down the East Coast. So we've got regular shows in Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Newcastle. We're
Nice.
hoping to take it to the other capitals as well soon. I'm still making videos. It's just
I saw your Brisbane one.
Oh, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never
Really?
been to
Just
Brisbane,
do that
but
one, yeah.
it made me
Mate,
laugh.
you got to cross the stereotypes straight away,
That's
mate.
it, man.
Bit of
Yeah.
nostalgia too from the old YouTube days.
A few lines, from the classic
Yeah.
Australian 2 Minutes. Had to bring those back. But yeah, it's still been. I've got 2 podcasts. Got Neil and Jordan with Friendly Geordies, and I got one called Sex Sells, which is all like
Sounds good.
relationship based.
Yeah.
The complete opposite to this one.
Cells with a
Um,
C dumb. So
yeah.
don't get carried away.
And but other than that, still making videos. But I think just like the algorithm, there's so many people making content now that it's a lot harder to go viral and get noticed. But
Now we see it on there. You got like 1 million plus followers on TikTok.
You're one of
and
the OGs.
You're still putting in the work, 100%. I knew, especially for me who makes content regularly, was one of the main reasons why I got into making content.
You always
Consistently-
nailed the stereotypes. Like, there's nothing wrong with
Oh,
stereotypes.
thank you.
And using like cultures and stuff as a driving force for your comedy. And now
Thanks,
I know
man.
we're moving into PC and like.
I'm not.
I love
but
it.
yeah,
man. I love
exactly.
it.
He's
But everyone's
always-
moving that way. There's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned stereotype, ethnic stereotypes, because you know what? You don't discriminate either.
That's exactly right. I feel like the people that are reticent to, use those stereotypes or laugh at it are people who live in areas that are completely white.
Exactly right.
And they're scared of what people will think. But like I said, I grew up in the St. George area in Sydney.
Very
and
multicultural.
So, yeah, we're always giving it to each other. And we know when it crosses a line, but that's where the humour comes from.
Exactly.
Man.
Now, you're a stand-up. How long have you been doing stand-up for?
Since I started it in like 2009, but I've been doing it full time for about 10 years now.
Yeah, wow. Because now stand-up, it's been in the limelight this year. Chris Rock, Will Smith.
Yeah, been slapped actually, Neil.
Yeah,
Any close calls?
Yeah, have you ever had a scenario like that?
Not on stage, no. Some people have been somewhat aggressive after the show.
You get heckled.
But then I haven't told my dad to come to a gig again.
Okay.
Since then. But no, I mean,
he still wants you to be a doctor, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Indian parents, they'll never stop. But no, I've never been like attacked on stage. You get heckled a little bit sometimes, but that's part of the territory and it can be fun. But we've definitely seen a lot of violence against comedians this year. Australia says no.
Do you ever try and work in a lot of like kind of sporting stereotypes into your work, especially like depending on the area, like if you're doing something in Bankstown, you rip into the Bulldogs or something like that?
Definitely. Yeah. No, I'm always going after like the NRL stuff, and I've done a few jokes about NRL previously that have gone pretty well. And even when I go to Victoria, WA, South Australia, I try to throw in a few references for their AFL teams. I don't really know what I'm talking about there, but who's the famous guy? Yeah, Bailey Smith, he's relevant. Yeah.
Speaking of Bailey,
bad boy.
Oh, he's actually made the news this week. I don't want to go off too far.
Go do it.
I think he sent a photo to his friends in a WhatsApp chat. So Bailey Smith's been caught.
The demise of every athlete is a WhatsApp
chat. WhatsApp chat. He's been caught a photo
boys group
of him
chat. That's sacred.
Holding a bag of cocaine, making some funny faces.
Yeah.
Now,
allegedly it was a bag of cocaine.
Allegedly.
We don't know if it was.
Now, I'm not going to say I feel for Bailey because it's a stupid move. Okay. All athletes have been seen one way or another with a white bag. It's happened to some Melbourne Storm players recently.
Mm-hmm.
But, Neil, if you're Bailey Smith in this situation, what do you do?
Well, I mean, he's got a long career ahead of him, so I guess he's just got to cop the punishment and not really rock the boat. But I don't. It's just weird. Like these guys are in their 20s, they're making who knows what
good money,
yeah,
good
like
coin,
maybe
good
even $1 million a year with all the endorsements or whatever. It's kind of like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still bad. I get that, but there's guys out there in NRL who have been violent in the past that still kind of have, a career going and stuff like that. Whereas, like, if you're doing drugs, well, you're only hurting yourself.
I agree. You can make mistakes, but look, if I was in Bailey's shoes,
go tell me. Okay,
and
you're his lawyer. What do you?
I don't condone any form of drug use, and I hope
never
Bailey gets the help he needs. But if I'm in Bailey Smith's shoes, don't send shit in the WhatsApp chat.
Number one,
be respectful.
There's always a dog in there, isn't there?
Put the phones away on a night out for one. Okay. Secondly, if the club or the AFL are probing you, and you've just got a photo of a bag with white substance, deny it till you die, Bailey. Deny it. That could be anything in that bag, that little bag.
Bit of
mate,
bit of baking soda.
I'm just saying, you know what? Sorry, I get bad chafing on a night out, and that's just just spare baby powder. Sorry, AFL, prove it. You know what I mean? That's just flour for my mum's cake. It was her birthday yesterday. I always carry it on me just in case. Bailey, just think on your feet, son.
Yeah.
You know?
Just deny till you
die. How are they going to prove it?
They can't prove it. That's
he's
true.
gone the other route, and his coach has come out and backed him and said, look, it's off the field. It shouldn't affect the club. He also had an incident in the off-season. So, I don't know. The AFL's got their hands full.
I want to know who the dog was in the group chat.
Yeah,
there's always one.
Yeah, that's a worse crime.
That's a worse crime.
That's worse than the coke.
Absolutely.
I can forgive him for that. I hope he gets the help he needs. But you ever had a situation like that, Neil? Someone ever tried to, not with coke, but like wherever someone's trying to like maybe blackmail you or like distort,
catch you on a night out.
Catch you on a night out and stitch you up. Remember Brian Fletcher?
In the back of the cab. Yeah.
Someone ever tried to get you when you're at your weakest?
I think because I'm not like as big a star as these guys, people aren't really going for me there yet. But I've had a few people, when I was single, a few girls would screenshot Tinder conversations and post them and be like, oh, look, I'm talking to Neil. And look, there was some pretty cringy chat. Most of it, it was pretty late at night.
Couple haze with 4 Ys.
Yeah, a bit of that, a few smiley faces. What you doing?
Yeah.
You up? A bit of that,
Over.
Yeah, so it's not even a brag. It's like, why are you screenshotting that? So, I mean, that's the closest I've had. But no, other than that, I can't. I haven't like been no one's tried to extort me or anything like that yet.
Oh, you carry yourself in a respectable manner. So, look, we've got another question coming in from Nickabella96. Now, we all watch State of Origin. Nick's question is, what changes would you make to the Blues State of Origin team?
Ooh. What are you thinking, Neil?
Jake has to come back in, Trbojevic. I don't know why he wasn't there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
They got to think about the 14 position because I don't know if Staggs is now going to be there.
No, yeah, Crichton 14. Staggs came off. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know if Staggs will play in the centre. Is it a bad shoulder cork? He probably should be all right.
He's going to play this week. I agree.
Okay.
Got to get a proper 14.
Yeah.
Nico Hines.
Pappenhausen or Hines.
Yeah,
I reckon one of
Pappenhausen
those
say
two.
might be up for selection. I agree. Look, on the podcast last week, our Origin preview, we said, look, I had tipped Queensland 1-12 in Sydney. A couple of people laughed at me.
Great tip.
But the reason why we said it and we put it out there, why New South Wales would lose, the 14 position was a big one.
Yeah.
And the forwards that they chose with particularly Tarek Sims and Madison. Now, I like Ryan Madison. I love what he's been doing at Para. Did he provide enough impact off the bench?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Tarek Sims the right option at 12? I don't know.
No.
And then 14's the biggest one, which we said. To Freddie's credit, Wyden at centre was our best player.
Best player, yeah.
He was our best player.
You know what it was as well? I don't know if you boys thought the same, but it was just, there was no ticker from New South Wales. Everyone from Queensland lifted. Like, Val Holmes slotted Katoni Staggs in his pocket.
Carrigan, Cotter.
Carrigan was playing out of his skin. Cotter, we all knew they were great players, but it seems like when they put that Queensland jersey on, they just have superpowers, whereas Liam Martin was okay, made a lot of tackles, didn't offer us much. We had no impact off our bench, and I think they just wanted it more.
For the past few years, New South Wales have almost always had the better forward pack.
Better team.
Right? Yeah, and a better
Exactly,
team
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
But like this time, it just didn't happen. I think Whiten had a lot of that. He was what they would call an Origin player. Like he ran hard.
Yeah.
You know,
Good
I mean,
shots on.
this is pretty. What do you guys think of moving him into 5'8"? Or do you want to keep the Luai and Cleary combination?
Penrith, but like, a few people have floated that around. I think because he was so strong in the centres,
Yeah,
and
I'd
if we're
keep
not
him
going to
there.
have Latrell or Turbo,
Yeah.
keep him in the centres. I just think the halves did have an off game too. Like,
Yeah.
Cleary
Yeah,
didn't
for
have
sure.
his best
Cleary in
kicking
particular
game.
wasn't kicking well. Luai was trying, but I don't like Damien Cook. I thought Teddy had a
Okay,
crack.
so Queensland played two hookers, and I think they'll do the same in game two. Ben Hunt
Oh, sorry.
starting, Harry Grant coming off the bench, giving him a breather, Ben Hunt coming back on. Damien Cook probably suffered not having that second hooker. He was probably gassed by the end of it. Do you play Api Coruscant at your 14 maybe?
I would. I like just playing. I think you're 14. You have to play at least 40 minutes. You have to at least like that's what they did. They gave Ben Hunt the first half,
Yeah.
and then they gave Harry Grant the second. Crichton, you're just stuck with a player there that I think they just said, all right, let's just put him on with 20 to go.
Yeah.
We used to do that. We've done it with Dylan Walker. We always seem to do it with our 14s. Either have Hines there or have a proper hooker.
I think
there.
they make
Hines
that
is
change.
a guy, and I think if Radley wasn't injured,
Oh, he'd be a
Oh,
player.
he'd
he'd
be
be
perfect 14.
Perfect
'cause He
14.
can play
That's
hooker,
someone with
lock.
ticker.
Yeah, all of
and
it.
he could play a little bit of hooker.
I will say,
Yes.
coming off the back of this round, I know we'll touch into the most recent round, but Josh Adokar being omitted from the side, someone who can finish in the corner,
I'd bring him back.
his
for
pace,
sure.
I'm bringing
Yeah.
the Fox back into the team.
I'm hearing rumours that Daniel Tupou is going to represent Tonga in game 2. I don't know now whether that's
Is
maybe
that
Freddie-
allowed?
Well, no, because you can't represent both of them. So he's now going to choose to play for Tonga. I don't know if that's Freddie just tapping him on the shoulder and saying, hey, I don't think I'm going to pick you game 2.
He had a great game though. I
He's
thought
solid.
Tupou was good.
He was solid.
I don't know if does Adokar play the same side as Tupou with
Yeah,
wings?
so
Is it
they would keep Toto where he
Yeah.
is, and then I think if they bring Josh Adokar back, which I think he deserves to come back, he's shown enough at club level,
Played out of his skin.
developed a mad combination with Burden. I think he's made the case for Freddie to call him up and go, mate, we need you back. Sorry for the bad call.
I had a shocker.
Take the bad call on the chin,
Yep.
Freddie, and bring the Fox back into the team. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. So Fox got to come back. Jake Trbojevic should be coming back.
And then sort out your 14, whether it's Api Coruscant or Nico Hines,
Nico
and that's a
Hines.
winning team.
I think he made his name as a 14.
Yeah.
He's got to play.
Hmm.
No, he's got to play. All right, let's move into now some of the big moments there. There was a few big ones. Neil, I want to get your thought on State of Origin. There were a couple of things that I thought was really, really interesting. The first one, we were speaking about it. Now, I've got a little bit of a different opinion. You've done some videos on the Gus School, the infamous pre-game rev up.
pre-game.
I'm not a
The
fan of it.
last word.
I reckon it's
What?
yeah, I know. I'm one of the only ones.
No.
It's just the same like gladiator, mate against mate shit that we hear every year.
Yeah.
And every time he spits it out, people act like he's invented fire. He got the boot. He wasn't up in the commentary box. What do you think about that?
Look, I think he's had some.
He looked a little bit salty as well.
Controversies,
he had a bit
because
of a
he's-
face like this, when Munster
Yeah.
was doing the post-game interview.
Wait, because he did do the last word, didn't he? Or
No,
didn't happen?
No, and he wasn't in the
Wasn't
commentary
even
box.
commentary box. Okay.
They had him doing like just on the panel at
Well, must mean
full-time.
some people at Channel 9 are thinking
They're
time
sick
to
of
move
his-
on. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly. He has that affiliation with the Bulldogs, so I think he tries to stray away from
Maybe
calling
that's
Dogs
what they.
games.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? I don't know. But look, personally, I love the Gus rev up. I don't know, Dan, maybe because you know you're a big footy fan, but you didn't play footy. Being out there with the boys, it always gives me goosebumps. right before Origin. Gets you up. How the boys would be feeling before they go out.
Yeah.
Think
love
about
it.
that. The first hit up before they take you out. Like you got to be crazy to take that first carry. That kind of gets you in the mood for Origin. And game one's always a spectacle. Game one's the most watched sporting event I think in the Southern Hemisphere. Surpasses the grand final. Surpasses the AFL grand final. Everyone gets up for it. I went to the game. Atmosphere was crazy. Like it feels like I was at an American NFL game. You know what I mean? Like people are up. It's tribalism. Everyone. I'm in Blues. Queenslanders. We all hate each other. We get up for it. Did you guys watch it at home?
I did.
Yeah.
I quite like the watch at home. Get the boys around it. But
the
it
watch
was
at
my
home's
first
good.
one at the game. It was pretty. It was
The
crazy.
ads are
They're
annoying.
both great. I would go even further with the Gus Gould last word. Because they've got all the camera angles there, they got the music and everything. Get a fucking team behind him. Get
an
everything
orchestra.
going. Make it like a
So step up the next production. For the
yeah,
last
yeah,
word.
of course,
Well,
yeah.
let's see if they bring it back for Perth.
I think, New South Wales need a rev up. So maybe
They
that
do.
was the key. Another one that was interesting was Cam Smith copped a little bit of stick for being a bit biased with his commentary.
He was very biased.
What
Yeah,
are
he's
your thoughts?
cheering? He was cheering him.
Because you know what I feel like? I feel like it's because they usually have a fair share of New South Wales and Queensland legends up there. I feel like though it's only the Queenslanders that get super biased. Like in the past, they used to have Wally Lewis up there.
Yeah,
and
Lockyer's on the call team. for
Lockyer's
9.
on the call team, and they're the ones that tend to show their allegiance a little bit more than New South Wales. Did you have a problem with it with Cam Smith?
Oh, I thought it was entertaining at the end
thought it
there,
was good.
where
I
he was
didn't have a
cheering
problem
for
with
him.
it.
I like it because Andrew Johns doesn't shy away from showing he's a Blues fan. He doesn't touch a 4X, you know what I mean, if it's on camera. So it's good. It adds to the theatrics of it. And I like hearing Cam Smith's analysis on the game too. And if he gets behind it, showing that he actually cares. I think he was involved with the Queensland team in some way.
He was in camp.
He was in camp. So of course you're going to want to, get behind the boys.
I think right at the end there, in the last 10 minutes, they can let loose a little bit. I mean, if he was doing that the whole 80 minutes, cheering for Queensland,
fair enough.
you'd question it. But I thought it was fun.
No, I
Hearing
read
that
it.
at
And what
the
do you
end,
reckon, Rabs? If there's a game 3, does he come out of retirement for game 100?
Look,
Origin
I
100.
think New South Wales will learn from their mistakes, make the changes they need, win game 2 in Perth. So it's going to go down to a decider, bring Rabs back for the 100th.
Yeah, I think so.
He's
the 100th,
to call
yeah.
100 Origin
Although the guy
games.
that covers him does a good job.
Yeah,
Matt
no.
Thompson is
Yeah,
his name?
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I rate
He's,
him.
he's getting on, but I think he can do one more.
I think he can do one more. I respect Rabs though, because he came out and said he's like, I'm getting a bit older, and I was just worried that I'm just going to absolutely embarrass myself. And then he called the NRL Grand Final, and he said he did a mad job. He was happy with it, and that's it.
Leave on a high.
Leave on a
George
high.
Costanza.
Yeah.
Respect it.
Leave it. No, I respect it. Okay, another big storyline. I don't know if you heard. Have you heard about this Saudi golf tournament that they're doing?
No. I haven't
Anyway, so
heard of it.
there's a Saudi group that's got there. It's called the LIV Golf Tournament. Now, it's very unethical because they're accusing these Saudis of sports washing. You know what that is where you kind of like clean your reputation through sports. So
Yeah, they're doing it with the WWE. They bring
you know they
wrestling
bring the
over.
over, and the Saudis
Yeah.
have been, they've how would you word it? They've committed a couple human
International,
rights violations
crimes.
in the past, so now they're trying to clean up their image with this golf tournament. And what they're doing is they're putting on this massive golf tournament. They're offering players ridiculous money, so they want to break away from the PGA Tour. Phil Mickelson is one of the golfers that's on there. He got $200 million.
Hard to
to
say
rock
no to, isn't it?
Hard to say no to. What's your thoughts? The PGA has now come out and banned these players. Dustin Johnson's another one. He's
From attending or
from the PGA. They
Oh,
are banned
wow.
from the tour.
because
Because they went to this rival. So it'd be the equivalent of like someone defecting from WWE. They've now gone and joined
Look,
AEW.
I got
run
to
by
tell
Saudi-
you, I'm going to be honest with you. The Saudis give me 200 mil to putt a golf ball. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
I could probably look past the crimes. 200 million's a lot of money. It's like when LeBron James, he can come out and say, he doesn't respect the government that was in office, but does he want to talk on China and Hong Kong? No, because he gets $1 billion
know
from
what?
the NBA.
Exactly
But
right.
ca-
Yeah,
and
money
can
makes the world
money-
go
it
round.
does.
Yeah.
And can you pick and choose? Like, now everyone now is against, like Russia now is just getting cancelled from everywhere, which is
Yeah.
fair enough. But now no one had a problem when Saudi Arabians took over Newcastle United, which is a massive football club. So we can't pick and choose.
No country's perfect as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Saudi is particularly bad, but
They've done some bad things.
Yeah, look, you'd
You-
obviously weigh it up and you'd say, are they legitimately trying to change their image, change their ways, change the laws of the country, how they're being perceived, and then you'd make a decision. But, mate, that's absurd amounts of money. It's very hard to
is
say
a
no
lot.
if I'm in
$200
there.
Would you? All right,
million
let me make it local. Would you have a problem if the Saudis wanted to invest in the NRL and they just started saying, "Man, we're gonna buy the Bulldogs. we're going to buy the Roosters, we're going to buy the Dragons, and we're just going to pump 200 million into the game. Would you have a problem with it?
No, more funding for the game, the better. I don't think the NRL would go for it personally. They're very on the side of PC and making sure everything's all good with no fault stand down policy and all that. So I don't think they would have a bar of that personally. But I don't know. It's interesting. Neil, you'd take the money. Don't pretend you would.
Yeah, look,
man.
the Saudis were doing
that's a lot of
if
money,
they were
bro.
doing a comedy tour, you're jumping on. Sure.
They do. They actually offer a few comedians some gigs there,
No.
and it's a ridiculous amount of money.
Do they have a good sense of humour? The Saudis?
You just can't
Just
make
gotta be
fun of the royal family there,
Yeah,
because
okay.
you're pretty much.
You'll be in a
Comedians
hole
will
in
be
the-
like, "Oh, I died at that gig." Yeah, you're
You'll be a hole
actually
in
dead.
the-
You're actually dead. So
Yeah, no alcohol jokes.
it's a risky gig. But look, I don't know if the money's on the table. I don't know. I probably would take it, but we'll.
Yeah,
we'll
look,
see.
I'm a sellout. Maybe it's the Italian in me. I'm taking the money. I'd have no problem. Another big thing was Nick Kyrgios was taking on Andy Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Typical Nick fashion. He was having like a little bit of a dummy spit. He lost. Comes out later and says that he was the victim of a racial slur from the fan. He was playing in Germany. Neil, I want to ask you your opinion on this because you did a video. You've done a couple of videos on racism in sports, and you did a video back in 2015. So this is now 7 years later. What do you think anything's changed in terms of racism in sports? Like, how can we?
What was the slur? I think it's
No,
very
they referred him as a
contextual.
black something.
A black something, like a black animal, I think was.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Then that's.
He is dark. I wouldn't say he's black. He's brown. Greek. He's brown.
He's a bit of everything. He's, I think, Malay. He's got a bit of
Okay.
Indian in him. He's
does he?
Greek. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he cops a fair
think-
bit on the sidelines, and that probably it should like tennis is a very posh upper class type sport, so you don't really get
You don't
that
get
coming
many-
from that
many-
crowd,
yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Respect
So
that. I do feel like professional sports stars kind of do have to, zone out from that kind of noise. But at the same time, if it's something really bad like that, it's up to the venue. And I think nowadays
fair enough
they'd
for him
probably-
to call it
Yeah,
out.
no,
I
for
mean,
sure.
Adam Goods called it
Well,
out.
that's the thing. I think you did a video on it. The Adam Goods
Yeah.
one. Remember that? That
That's-
was.
Yeah.
That was. We're going back in time here, but
A
yeah,
long
that
time
was.
ago, yeah.
That was.
I personally think that racism in general has, people get on more now. Like, look at this table, for example. A Lebo, an Italian, and, Indian walk into
You're
a
Lebanese.
bar.
I'm leaving.
Okay. No,
Sounds like
we're
the start
all
of a
doing a
great joke.
podcast together, right?
Yep.
It's definitely lessened across the world in some respect, and in sport. And you're gonna run into issues where people are throwing out things that if you're someone of prominence, and it kind of comes with it. Fair enough, he's called it out, and he doesn't have a bar of it. But I mean, I don't think it is as bad as it was years ago.
I think in some parts it
Decades
is. I
ago.
think it's probably worse. Like, you probably don't get it at grounds as much anymore. But I think it's definitely worse online. Well, because there was never
Definitely
social media.
online. I mean,
and it's
let's go
almost
through some
impossible.
TikTok comments.
And it's almost impossible to police because how do you find someone that's user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with no DP?
That's true, and also how do you police it because now it's also gone so far one way where it's affecting a lot of comedy. It's affecting. This is now like a broader point, not just sport, but in trying to over police. I think what could be seen as racism for some people. It's now coming back to those stereotypes I do and all sorts of things. No one really knows where that line is, and I think it's actually gone too far.
100%.
But it's all very contextual, so,
I agree with you. You got to be. Anything you say right now can be scrutinized. Like, if you're doing a comedy
There's
skit,
a fine line when you start picking apart comedians, though.
because
Being
being
now,
a comedian
trying
is
to
a
now
job.
cancel,
Yeah.
these cancel cultures now trying to cancel comedians for
Like
making-
Ricky Gervais, for example.
Yeah.
Chappelle, obviously.
Chappelle was the most
Yeah.
How can you cancel a comedian?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really. I think people just get outraged online, and it actually benefits them in a way because more people then watch it, and more people kind of get on board, and no one's actually looking at now everyone's like, okay, do I agree with the comedian rather than was the comedian actually funny?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I think the more that it is pushed down, to people that this is the wrong way to think and this is racist, this is, this is offensive, the more people are going to start, like you said, just watching to agree or not and not actually for the humor or whatever it is. But look, I think it's lessened in sport over time, but there's got to be a fine line where it's like you said, you can't be over-policing everything as well.
Yeah, I think in certain parts it's lessened, but yeah, definitely, it's definitely hard to police online. Anything you saw over the weekend that
Mate,
you liked, Bernard?
Something that just happened recently. The Socceroos
Huge.
qualifying for the World Cup.
Huge.
Now, we went through the back door. We went the hard way, but we are going to Qatar.
Yeah, the boys.
Any plans on a trip to Qatar, Neil? Maybe a comedy tour down there?
They got plenty of money as well.
Catch the
I've
World
heard
Cup.
they do.
I
Yeah,
could see
yeah.
you in the Socceroos camp,
It's
maybe.
definitely a risky gig as well.
Yeah, sure.
Don't know what I can say about the Qatari Royals or, you know.
Good
So,
to see the Aussies qualifying. It's big for us. We can all get around it.
For sure,
You
yeah.
know, by the time the World Cup comes around. So they
You know-
they
and
made
you
a
know-
meal of it.
They did it the hard way. You know what's going to be mad about this World Cup? It's in our summer. Usually it's always in our winter. So you're
Okay.
waking up at 2 a.m. It's freezing like it was this morning when you
Yeah.
wake up. First game's end of November.
Perfect.
Beautiful. You
So
wake
we got a
up.
tough group.
What's the time difference like? What time of day?
One game's at 5 a.m. That's against France.
Mm.
Massive game. Next game's going to be at 9 p.m. So
Oh,
that's
perfect. Perfect.
On a Saturday, I believe.
Who's in
And
the
then,
Australian group?
France, Tunisia, and Denmark.
So we're
Ooh.
pushing for second.
Ooh.
If we're being honest.
Yeah.
If
I'm
we
gonna
can
say
get
that-
past
That's tough.
Denmark, we can
It's all about
progress
getting past
through.
Denmark. I think France will go through. I think we can do it. You're a football fan, Neil?
Not as much as NRL,
Yep.
but yeah, follow it.
Mm.
I like sport in general.
Yeah, nice. I
Yeah.
could see get Neil to Qatar.
Well, you don't even what I found out about Neil more recently is
Talk
that
to me.
he's worked with KO.
Yep.
And they've covered a lot of boxing events, but Neil's an avid boxer.
Oh,
He hits the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him work. Go check it out on his Insta stories.
it's all,
Hey.
it's all a bit of fun.
All right, Neil.
Yeah.
While you're here, then I want to pitch
Got
this
some fast
idea. Let me
hands.
know what you think. I've got this idea just for an influencer boxing event. Okay, the main event is going to be this guy,
Mm-hmm.
Bernard, versus. We got someone lined up. You heard of Olan Tekers?
Is that the same weight class? He's a big guy.
He's a big guy, but look at this man. This is
No,
90.
no.
What are you, 92?
No,
86?
pushing 85. We could meet in the
Okay.
middle somewhere. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Catch weight.
All right.
That can be one. Then we have a few influencers fights. So maybe we get you in on this card. Me on commentary with Spaniard.
You're building a dream
That
car.
would
yeah.
go off. Yeah, yeah.
I
yeah.
think me and
Nah,
Spaniard
look.
just picking it apart.
There's definitely an influence from America to see how YouTubers getting
Yeah.
in the ring, boxers getting in the ring. Who's going to be the first Australians to do it? I think we're stupid not
Well,
to jump at it, boys.
All of the bachelors and bachelorette guys
They're
have already
getting
done
in.
it,
Have you
but
seen
no
it?
one's really watched it. So
Maps. Any of you
Maps
watch
guy.
Maps?
Yeah,
That red
Maps,
guy
no,
and the guy
he's-
with the really bad veneers.
yeah, yeah, those guys are
Asian
going at
chumpers
it.
like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
they're apparently going to fight. So we get them fighting. You're going to get all those chicks watching. We get all the eyes. We get you on there. Anyone in particular, if you had to call out one influencer, comedian.
Oh,
Who
Lewis
would you-
Spears and I have always had
Lewis Spears.
some strong
Ooh.
words about
Yeah?
fighting each other because
Really?
he's like, what is he, 6'8" or something?
Yeah, I think you just
And,
recently got jaw surgery. You didn't do that
Yeah, you know what? I'll make
saw
sure
him out at
he
the-
gets some more.
too, didn't you? Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you get on? You get on you and Lewis? Is
No,
there
yeah.
quite beef there? Or you actually?
It's friendly banter.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do you reckon you'd go? He's big.
He's,
big
a
boy.
tall
he's
man.
very
It's all about
tall.
you're just working
He's
the
got,
body.
Yeah, so he's got a massive reach, but I think he's pretty slow, so I can
so you
get
just
in
need
between that
last-
reach.
Oh, he looks
and
that lanky, uncoordinated type.
that's
yeah.
exactly it. So Lewis, if this gets back to you, it's still happening one day.
Okay. Yeah,
Done.
we'll get that
There you
on.
go,
Put
guys.
that on the card, eh?
Make it happen. What weight you fighting at? What are you thinking? We getting down
I'm a
to
pretty
leg?
light guy.
good
Maybe
thing.
like welterweight, something like that.
Nice.
If we can, I don't know how much Lewis weighs, but he's a skinny man.
Mm.
So
Now, I want to move on to rugby league.
Let's
now,
do
it was obviously after Origin. You don't know which players are going to come back into your side.
It's a rubbish time to tip.
It definitely is. And on the Friday night, Cowboys went up against your Dragons, Neil. Dragons
wasn't
had
pretty.
a terrible showing.
Yeah.
But both Queensland teams, I'm talking the Cowboys,
The Cowboys.
and Brisbane Broncos, in the top 4.
Do you think they're a chance of winning? Because like Penrith and Storm are still probably
Exactly.
the,
And now
the
we
two
bring that up a
favourites.
fair
Yeah.
bit, and it's a great point. I think the Cowboys have done enough to say in the big games they can step up against the big teams.
Yep.
They're playing good footy. I think the Cowboys definitely. Maybe Brisbane still need to gel
I
a little
think
bit
even
more.
the Broncos can go on maybe a Rabbitohs run last year.
Yeah.
Just get them in a prelim final, one game.
Yeah.
They just need to finish in the top 4. So you get a second chance. You got that old head like Reynolds, Calm. Their forwards are playing like everyone's playing unbelievable.
But like Neil said, look, Penrith, Melbourne, still the teams to be at full strength.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So can they match them? And then you got teams like Para, who
I don't think so.
are one of the most inconsistent teams in the NRL, at least this year. They get up to play Melbourne. They get up to play
The Penrith.
Penrith Panthers. The Roosters, they'll have a good crack at.
That's going to be this week.
And
That's gonna
then-
be good.
And then they go up against a team like the Bulldogs or the Titans, who are the lower end of the ladder,
They lose.
and they can't seem to pull it together. What is
Yeah.
it about the Para Eels?
Maybe the motivation. They're
To get up for
they're
the big
fiery
games.
for the big ones.
Yeah.
So I still think if they make the top 4, which now
They're a
I don't know
chance,
if
yeah.
they can make the
Yeah.
top 4, but they're a chance because
100%.
they've beaten Penrith and Melbourne, so they'd have the confidence, and they know a few of the players are leaving after the end of this year, and they haven't won for a long time. I think I tipped them at the start of the year, and I'm still backing them.
Yeah, they need to finish in the top 4. Though.
That's
I
the
think
big
yeah,
one.
Need to finish in the
get
top
into
4.
the semis, and then, like you said, it's any given Sunday. They can beat the big teams. I agree. They'll move past this week, and they acknowledge we've struggled to get up for these type of games. We
Yeah.
need to make that correction. But on that, it's probably another weird one. Who's in a better position for next year? Your Dragons, Neil, or my Bulldogs? I'm going to go the Bulldogs with King Burton at the helm, getting Kikau on board, Reid Marnie on board, Josh Adokar flying on the wing. They've recruited fairly well. If they sort out their coaching dramas, play a good brand of footy, I think they're looking a little bit better than the Dragons next year. And there's a bit of a rivalry there. Can the Dragons be in a decent shape next year?
You're right. Like the Bulldogs players that are coming in, kind of in their prime, and I think it seems like Hook's strategy is very long term, developing
Yeah.
these guys like Terrell Sloan and Sullivan and Amon. So I think the premiership window is probably going to be like mid 2020s.
Yeah,
Mm.
couple
and a
years
few
from
of the
now at least.
Yeah, the forwards are just getting old. I mean, Aaron Woods and Mbai and
Yeah,
these
they
sorts
need
of
to make a
guys. I
couple
think he must have got them to sort of like help those younger guys
Yeah.
come. But
fair
you're
point.
probably right. Bulldogs on paper would have a better squad, but like, can they gel together? That's the question.
No, they haven't
And
gelled in the last
it's
3-4
It's
years.
all about getting the coach.
Yeah.
That's what they need
Yeah.
to get the coach right.
And I think with the Dragons, like, you still got some good pieces of the puzzle. I know Tarek Sims is going to leave, but Ben Hunt is still a top 5 halfback.
Yeah, it was
In
the comp.
leading the Dally M.
Yeah.
Still only
So there's still a lot of positives for the Dragons, but like you said, on paper, the Dogs look like they could be going neck and neck for borderline top 8 next year with the Dragons. So I guess we'll see where they end up.
The thing is with the Bulldogs is that for the last 4 or 5 years they've been like, yep, next year we're getting players.
That's true.
And then it's just like the same thing happens. Like they'll be last. I'm like, all right, well next season we're getting players. So they need to get a good coach. Whereas the Dragons have just kind of been hovering around that 7th to 12th kind of for the last
For the
4 or
last
5
few
years.
years.
You need
Yeah,
to
we
get some
can't
new
make
blood
it.
in there. Like I love
Yeah.
Aaron Woods. I've heard him on the radio. Man, take up broadcasting. It's
He's
that
a
time.
good
He's really,
personality.
really good. Great personality.
Yeah.
There's a couple old...
Is he still rocking that headband, or he's got rid of that?
No,
Yeah,
yeah, he still
Sometimes
had it.
He does?
Yeah, he's got a bit there.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just don't know what the Dragons. I think, Ben Hunt is playing really well as our halfback now, and especially when he first came in, he's the $1.1 million man. It was too much pressure on him, and then he was the halfback following Thurston and Cronk in Origin, and I think that he played one really bad Origin game, and that dented his confidence for years. The whole Jack DeBellin saga really
Hasn't
that
helped the
hurt.
Dragons.
Yeah,
either.
hurt a lot. So now that sort of crop that were mid-late 20s, that was in 2018-19. It looked like, we could challenge for the premiership.
Yeah, I remember you guys were first after a little while.
There's a
and-
lot of that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
first six
made
rounds they
premierships.
fly up.
Yeah, there was something like from 2010 to 2020. Dragons have been top of the ladder more than the Roosters, but Roosters have won 3 premierships. Something stat like that, which is so frustrating. But I think we got a really good back line now. So we got. Whether it's Sloan or Ramsey, one of these guys is going to be our long-term fullback, and they have promise. And then Lomax, he had a pretty bad game on Friday, but overall he's a really good player.
Yeah, definitely. I back
And
Lomax.
then Ravalawa and the Fige brothers, I think the back
There's some
line
promise
is
there,
really
definitely.
good. And Amon as a 5'8" is good.
There was a Tristan Saylor thing as well that happened. That
Now,
wouldn't
yeah,
have
you
helped.
brought up
Yeah.
a couple
There's a
controversies.
couple
Yeah,
big,
a lot of
Like
big
you
off
said,
the
the
field.
Jack DeBellin. Now, by no means am I trying to get you cancelled at all, Neil, on this podcast. We've touched
fine. No,
We've had a few
what do you
touchy
do?
subjects already with Saudi Arabia and whatnot, but the Jack DeBellin saga, and there's been a few things that have played out in the public online. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
Israel Folau, and where do you think in the Manasi Fainu at Manly, the no-fault stand-down policy in rugby league? Now, you say like comedians can get cancelled. Do you think the no-fault stand-down policy is valid in rugby league in 2022, where a player can just be sued for something, can have a criminal charge but can still be innocent, but because he's bringing disrepute to the game, still has to be stood down until it is resolved.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's been enough cases now where it's hasn't been ethical for the player who's then been found to either be not guilty or just hasn't been
acquitted
charged.
or-
So I think they got to look at that. I mean, I think from their perspective, they're thinking, well, there's so much corporate sponsorship and stuff like that involved in the game now that they kind of have to look at that. But that's what's ruining it. Like that, I know that's what everyone says all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
but you know, you look at the UFC, you look at they've got that pay-per-view model where people will pay $30 to see a fight, so they don't need big sponsors or anything because they get so much revenue that way. So, you know, maybe Origin one day could be like a main
A
event,
big pay-per-view event. Yeah.
and the players can say whatever the fuck they want. They can rack up.
Bailey
Imagine
Smith,
that as the
yeah.
advertising. Yeah.
Yeah, there is, like you said, a lot of outside influence from sponsors, and that kind of ruins players being their own characters, expressing themselves outside on the footy foot. There's not a lot of characters left in rugby league.
Well, you saw with Toby Rudolph. Do you remember that interview he did last year when he's like going to go down to Northie, he's going to try pull
Have a few
something?
beers.
Well, this is great. We finally got a personality.
Yeah.
And then NRL rang him. Sorry, Toby, you can't be having that. And then they get angry at footballers for giving that full credit to the boys. You know, stuff that we hear every
Yeah.
week. But so what else do you want them to say? Because whenever they show a hint of personality, they just get squashed.
I mean, what do people expect? Like, these guys, they're not supposed to be...
Scholars.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Exactly
they're
right,
running into
yeah.
each other. They're getting paid $500,000 to run
Yeah.
into each other. I mean... I'm not like bagging
No,
them.
no. But
they're
you're saying
clever
that-
guys.
that-
They're hard working.
they're
They're
not
extremely
Shakespeare.
I
talented.
think
But yeah,
only Tom Trbojevic got 90 plus in his HSC. The rest
mean,
of the
they all-
median would be
yeah.
around maybe 60 plus.
I mean, for pretty much every guy in their 20s in Australia, if you had a camera following you and every night out, are you telling me you're gonna,
Yeah.
be perfectly innocent
No,
in terms
100%.
of whatever substances you might be taking? Like, come on.
No, it's a fair point, and I think it's got to be looked at with a better lens.
Yeah.
I think the ones where there's like violence,
100%.
and like gangs, like the Fainu one compared to some of the others. I mean, again, it's not proven and all that sort of stuff, so it still is tough. But yeah, when it's violence or when it's violence against women, I think that's they can be harsher with that. But the drug taking, I mean, like a couple of games suspension.
Let the boys
but
play.
it's like,
Let
come
the boys
on.
play.
And people make mistakes.
Yeah.
People do make mistakes.
I have no doubt the top guys at the NRL, the corporate suits that are also making $1 million a year, I'm sure
They're not on the devil's
And let's be
dandruff.
honest,
Like,
the
come
devil's
on.
dandruff is definitely not performance enhancing.
No,
So
no.
if we really have a
That's
problem.
exactly right, yeah.
Like
Maybe that's how
that
you give
Andrew
New South
Johns-
Wales the ticker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Matty John's better than Lego.
Yeah.
is a stuff of legend.
We're never
but then
going to
we
see that anymore.
We ridicule Bailey Smith.
Yeah, and while we're actually talking, guys, a big game is happening right now.
It is.
In the NBA Finals. We got Steph Curry pulling out
It's
all the
happening
stops.
right now. I'm going to give you guys a score
give us a
update.
live score update, Dams, because
Warriors up by 8.
that's big. Because I think this is one of Steph's better finals
He's
performance.
taking the piss.
in the NBA.
chef is cooking.
Because literally, he's not getting much help. Draymond's getting more fouls than he is points at the moment, And I think if Golden State go on to win this series, Steph Curry is hands down MVP,
Yeah.
and this will go down as one of the better finals performances.
And where
of all
does
time.
then Steph rate amongst the all-time greats? If he wins this finals MVP, does he get anywhere near Mount Rushmore?
I just think they won't have him in the conversation because he's just that 3-point shooter and he's not your all-around LeBron, Kobe that can do it from everywhere. But I think he deserves to be because he changed the game so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a basketball fan. I know you
Oh,
probably
no,
like
no,
me
yeah,
tuning
yeah.
around finals time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Steph Curry, does he deserve the accolades of the LeBrons,
Because you can
Kobe
make the argument
Bryants?
Steph changed the game as much as a LeBron or an MJ because now the whole NBA is different. The way you shoot the three, he's changed the whole game.
Yeah, he probably doesn't
Steph.
have the same kind of like highlights reel that
Yeah.
some of the other guys have, but
Doesn't maybe
His
look like
impact.
as much of an athlete as well.
yeah, his impact and significance and from last year they got GSW definitely got something approved. So
Yeah.
nah.
I guess
Looking
so.
pretty good.
We'll keep an eye on the score. Big game, big final
Big
series.
final series. I got a little bit of money on Celtics, so I'm
Yeah.
sweating it a little bit.
But over the weekend,
Yes.
I don't think it was this past weekend, possibly the one before, Hell in a Cell was a big pay-per-view. Now, Neil,
Yes.
we're avid wrestling
We
fans.
love wrestling.
We love our WWE. Cody Rhoads fought with a torn pectoral muscle in a Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins. Now,
We're not talking
Damn.
partial.
We're not talking a partial.
So there was a little
tear.
rumor.
Did this tear during the fight? Or
No. What was it in the gym?
He heard it. He tore his pec at a live event. Could have
Okay.
been a partial tear. Then he's worsened it in the gym. Obviously hitting a big bench or something like that.
And now he's come out taking his shirt
Come
off
out.
and like the Milky Way on his chest. So it's
Purple all the way down his arm. You can see visibly. Now they must have whacked this guy with cortisone,
Couple horse tranquilizers.
mate, just to numb this pain. He's fought a 20-minute match through the pain. It'll probably go down as one of the greats under the circumstances. We've now come to know he has to do at least 6 to 9 months on the sidelines with a torn pec. He just had surgery. Is that now we see gladiators go at it in rugby league?
Phil Gould he'd be referencing that in his next
We
chat.
see collisions in rugby league, in the NFL. Is this one of the craziest and gladiatorial performances of all time?
It has to be. I mean, something like that. That's insane.
Yeah,
Mate,
that's made
taking
against
bumps-
state against state.
Yeah, that's crazy. Taking bumps all night for 20 minutes, torn pec, would have been killing him. I just think
Wow.
wrestling fans
You know
will look
what?
back on
You
that and
talking
go,
about-
that's pretty
We're talking
crazy.
about getting the boys revved up. You know what gets the boys revved up? I was out on the weekend for a mate's birthday. One of those, $90 per head. El Camino's a rip-off.
Okay,
No
happens.
good.
You get the
I
hat.
I've been to a couple men. You get the hat. The $90 basically for nachos.
It's for the Instagram story.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
everyone
most
just-
like hospitality venues. If you can get like people posting Instagram stories, you're done.
Hey, it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's a gimmick. But you know what gets the boys fired up? Wrestling chat when you're drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Old school attitude
Old
era
school,
wrestling
like
chat.
we were talking like, what's the best, entrance song? Who's the best heel? Wrestling
Yeah.
gets the boys pumped up.
No, it does. It's and look, Cody Rhoads, 6 to 9 months. It means he might be in time for a Royal Rumble.
He's winning.
A Royal Rumble
He's
return.
winning
He wins
Rumble.
Royal Rumble. He'll probably go on to face Roman Reigns, who's the current guy at WWE right now. But that's just our little wrestling chat.
Yeah,
that
we
have
just had to chuck that
here
one
and
in there
there.
Of
now.
course.
Neil.
We're
That's a
talking
great
about
story.
people that were getting people fired up. Neil, we do this segment. It's called The Starters. We usually do a top 5. Because
Okay.
there's 3 of us, I thought we'll do a top 3,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to go one each. We've spoken about commentators.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, who are the top 3 worst NRL commentators / personalities on TV or radio? We're going to go one each. Okay, Bernard, do you want to kick us
I'll
off?
kick us off.
Go.
I'm going to go Paul Kent.
Yeah.
Now, Paul Kent is a permanent fixture on NRL 360. Now, if I ever step foot in the box ring, this would be the first flog I'd call out because he is the most critical. He's up there with one of the most critical
Yep.
of anything and everything, whether it's a player off-field, if he has an off-field drama in the slightest circumstance, if it's a player on the field not performing to the best. Paul Kent's never laced up a boot. Now, I'm not saying those who haven't laced up a boot can't say anything.
Yep.
But he's overly critical, sometimes for no reason. I'm sure he's offside with a lot of the players. He has a good relationship with people like Ricky Stewart at Canberra, but he always looks like he's pushing an agenda to sell his papers at the Daily Telegraph, just to push an agenda forward for NRL 360. And I understand they got to get their audience in,
Yep.
but just take it easy on the players, mate. You have to be overly critical. Have a nice take or two, but just take a backward step. Don't get too animated either.
Yeah, I can only take small amounts of Paul Kent, but this guy I can't cop at all. Mine is going to be Buzz Rothfield. As a journo, I'm sure he can write an amazing article.
Another 360, man.
But keep him off TV. First of all, every time he's on there, he looks like he's going to fall asleep.
Head for radio.
Yeah, head for radio, but not only that. You know, like that older relative that just drinks too much at like Family Do, and they start nodding off like that. That's
a
what
bit
Buzz
punch
looks
drunk.
like every time he's
Yeah.
on there. Always just whinging about absolute nonsense.
I know the players hate Buzz for a fact. Like, majority of players hate
Always
Buzz.
picking on like just little things like Gus Gould. Just keep him. He's got a head for writing articles.
Yeah.
See, like, if they let the players kind of if they gave
I
them
love
free
Braithen
reign
Astor
to
on 360.
Yeah,
Breakers
he's
good.
come into
I
his
like
own as a
and I
host.
love James Graham and Benji.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
good.
great. Just
James
have
Graham-
all former players because
Yeah.
the journalists, they're incentivized to just create controversies. Then all the blogs in the paper tomorrow, they're just not manufacturing, but sensationalizing a story.
100%.
Who's your one?
Oh, look,
Just one person, male or female, that just absolutely cooks you.
okay, I do have a mixed opinion on the guy.
Okay,
but
go.
we'll go with Gus Gould here
Okay,
because
wow.
I just think come Origin time, he obviously because he developed Brad Fittler, he's got a big tie with him. But he was, I think, a bit unfair to Laurie Daly, who had to coach New South Wales in an era where Queensland still had like the greatest players of all
dynasty.
time.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was one or two bad games there, but he won that 2014 series. Now Brad Fittler, like if they lose this series with the players they've got,
He should be on the
he's
chopping
not.
block.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Gus is just like obsessed with
Protecting his
Brad.
boys.
Yeah.
And doesn't like Laurie. I think it goes all the way back to the 90s where Laurie was part of the Raiders and Gus was coaching
Mate,
the Panthers and the
that's a
Roosters.
fair
and
call,
I
that.
think
Now,
That's an interesting.
I got a
little-
bit of bias towards Gus, obviously being the GM at
Yeah.
the Bulldogs. I do rate him, but I do think the thing with Gus is he's always just throwing shit at the NRL. There's always something wrong, whether it's the bunker, whether it's the referees on the field. He loves it. And sometimes he's right, sometimes he gets it wrong. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's an interesting take, Neil. I like it.
I'd just say with Gus, you wouldn't want to be a coach at the Bulldogs because he just looks like he's always got his mitts all over it. Like,
Yeah.
like we had a laugh when he took the
Yeah.
whistle, from Trent, but that was the beginning of the end for Trent. And now I don't know if the Bulldogs will be able to get a big name coach like Seraldo or one of these up and comers.
Yeah, well,
'cause who
think
would
about
wanna be
that.
there?
Coaches on the
He's
chopping
like the
block last
overpossessive
week.
dad.
The ones that were in the chopping block last week, all in one foul swoop, with Michael Maguire gone from the
Gone.
Tigers, and then Nathan Brown leaving the Warriors. I want to go, who's the next coach on the chopping block if they don't perform? And who's the next Dogs coach?
Holbrook, I reckon, is maybe
next
on the
to go.
chopping block.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Adam O'Brien.
That's a
Because
fair.
they had a few years where they were building,
Yeah.
and now they're both. I mean, it's still halfway through the season, but it looks like they've taken a step backwards.
And the Titans have recruited. It's not like they haven't.
Yeah.
They've got,
And
Isaac
they
Lou
made,
from...
They made the 8 last year and should have beaten the Roosters in the finals as well if it wasn't for a brain snap song. I'd say Holbrook gets I agree with you, man, with Adam O'Brien. I think he gets away with a lot. Like, they've
Yeah.
had good teams for a while when they had Pierce
A
there.
really good
They've
team
always
there,
had
yeah.
good forwards, and they've never even had a sniff of going
Yeah,
anywhere
and
near the grand
not that it
final.
means anything, but Newcastle have come out and said they back him as a long-term coach. But like you said,
the Tigers said that about Madge
exactly
too,
right.
and he was gone in 2
Gone the
weeks.
next week, exactly right.
Shane Flanagan, next Bulldogs coach. I
Shane
think.
Flanagan,
Yeah.
I think that works well, especially if you're going to stay with Kyle as your 7 and build that Kyle-Burton combination. It looks like under Potter, they're playing good footy. And I love seeing the Bulldogs playing attacking footy.
No, I
Like,
agree.
Accor Stadium was firing yesterday. It was just good to watch. But I think, Flano's a choice. And now I'm hearing rumblings about Michael Maguire being tied to the Bulldogs. I don't know how I feel about that. He hasn't had much success in the past
He
few
maybe
years.
just needs a little stint as an assistant, Michael Maguire.
Get back on the horse.
Get back on the horse, get your confidence back up, and then he'll get another gig. But boys, to wrap up, what we like to do, just to finish off, is a long shot. Neil, we're going to bring you in on this as well. We're all going to do a long shot each. It can mean absolutely anything. I'll kick it off to give you a little bit of inspiration. Right? I'm thinking
okay.
in the future, I'm going to go the Socceroos to make it out of their group in the World Cup. We showed it this morning against Peru. We can play football. Don't be scared. Denmark aren't the powerhouses that you think. Australia's coming second in that group and making it through.
My long shot is a parlay, a multi
Lovely.
of sorts. Okay, I'm going to take New South Wales 1-12
Ooh.
in Perth against
like it.
Queensland. I'm not going to take any try scorers. That killed me last time with Xavier Coates. So it's New South Wales 1-12 into Steph Curry to win MVP in the
I like
NBA. Take that. I'll check what the odds are, and I'll be posting that on socials on Instagram and TikTok.
Neil, any long shots? Anything
What's
you
your
like?
long shot? Can be Origin related.
Maybe,
spot.
how about this Seraldo to become the Warriors coach?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. He's got a clause in his Penrith contract if opportunities come up.
He can go.
They've appointed Stacey Jones, who I love, who was a great 7,
What a player.
Stacey Jones at the
What a
Warriors,
player.
as a caretaker head
like
coach.
that.
But that could be in the works.
All right.
Could be an opportunity for
I like
Cameron.
that
And
one,
Eels
boys.
to still win the premiership.
Done.
Okay,
Double down
yes.
with 2 long
Double
shots.
down.
All
I
right, beautiful.
like
Neil, what's on in the future? Anything we should keep our eyes on?
Doing plenty of live shows, and it's not just me. You know, there's a collection of really great comedians. In fact, John's going to come and jump up for some of those games at the Western Sydney shows.
Hitting
So
the stage. We're hitting the Liverpool show.
Mounties, yeah,
Area.
Pokey Central. It's a great place, man.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Oh,
So
you could be seeing me up there. I watch quick slap on the pokies
Yeah,
after.
mate, as well.
yeah, come
while you're
along.
there.
Yeah, bring all the boys. So comedyuntamed.com for all the live shows, and other than that, yeah, I got my podcast. I'm still making videos. Just follow me. Probably YouTube and Instagram are the big ones now, and TikTok. Facebook's dead.
Yeah, Facebook's
it's all.
Meta killed that.
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Fuck,
yeah.
I'm getting like 10 likes on Facebook. I'm like, this is embarrassing. So,
Not what
yeah.
it was, eh?
No, and then I'm getting 20,000 on TikTok, so I don't know what's happening, but just trying to adapt. So yeah,
Hey,
just
keep it
follow
up,
me on
mate.
all the socials, and thanks for having me. This was a lot of
No,
fun.
mate, absolute pleasure.
Thanks for
Guys,
coming
make
on.
sure you follow Neil on the socials. Bernard, anything happening this week?
No, I'm going to prep for Origin 2. I'm going to head to Perth. cover the game
to
there.
Perth.
Yeah. Going a few skits out in Perth planned, and going to catch the game at Optus Stadium. Never been there, so a lot of prep going to go into that. But mate, Neel, again, thank you for coming on. We
Thanks for
love
jumping
your
on,
stuff and what you're doing for comedy.
Likewise.
You know, you're pretty much a comedian that I look up to, and we
you're an
enjoy
OG.
your stuff. And yeah, one of the OGs of comedy.
Definitely.
And keep creating, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
But
you.
guys, keep an eye out. This will be posted on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you catch your podcast.
I think we're making our
also.
YouTube debut as well.
This will be on
My
YouTube
producer
as
Shabs
well.
was telling me. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, B Team Podcast. Make sure you're giving it a follow on all platforms. Neel, thanks for jumping on, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Legend,
It was
mate.
a lot of fun.
See you next time, guys.
Take
Ciao.
it easy.